In 2007, Robert Redford brought to life a gripping narrative that delves into the intricate web of politics, power, and personal responsibility. Lions for Lambs serves as a thought-provoking exploration of the choices individuals make in the face of adversity. At the heart of the story lies a riveting exchange between Senator Jasper Irving and journalist Janine Roth. Their conversation exposes the ethical dilemmas inherent in wielding power and the responsibility that accompanies it. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, two soldiers find themselves confronting the harsh realities of war. As they struggle to survive, their experiences shed light on the human cost of political decisions. Back home, Professor Stephen Malley challenges his student Todd Hayes to confront his complacency and take a stand for what he believes in. Their dialogue underscores the importance of individual agency in shaping the course of history. Through its multi-layered narrative, Lions for Lambs compels viewers to reflect on their own roles in society. It prompts us to question the status quo and consider the impact of our actions on the world around us. Injuries sustained by two Army Rangers behind enemy lines in Afghanistan set off a sequence of events involving a congressman, a journalist, and a professor. 3 stories told simultaneous in 90 minutes of real time. A Republican senator who's a presidential hopeful gives an hour-long interview to a skeptical television reporter, detailing a strategy for victory in Afghanistan. 2 special forces ambushed on an Afghani bridge await rescue as Taliban forces close in. A poli-sci professor at a California college invites a promising student to re-engage. Decisions press upon the reporter, the student, and the soldiers. The American government is taking a beating in the public opinion polls for losing the war on terror, despite the president earlier having made the statement that that war had been won, and for its earlier decisions to wage war on Iraq based on faulty intelligence while almost totally disregarding the upsurge of an enemy regime in Afghanistan. Reporter Janine Roth, who works for an organization which used to be a true news organization, but that was bought out by corporate interests whose financial bottom line is paramount, is planning on using this premise as the core of her upcoming hour-long exclusive interview with Republican Senator and presidential hopeful Jasper Irving. Irving convinces Roth to change the focus of her story to one of breaking news that the government is taking a new offensive in Afghanistan based on enemy regimes in Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan banding together against American forces. This strategy is of Irving's design, as is the want to have Roth be his pro-strategy conduit to the American public. As Roth conducts her interview with Irving, which is more of a debate on the issues the offensive Irving refers to has just begun. 2 American soldiers, Ernest Rodriguez and Arian Finch, who were friends in university before their enlistment, are caught in a precarious and tenuous situation concerning this offensive. Meanwhile, political science professor Dr. Stephen Malley, who used to teach Rodriguez and Finch, is meeting early with one of his current students, Todd Hayes. Hayes is a naturally bright student, but has fallen into a state of political social apathy, as witnessed by his class attendance record. Using Rodriguez and Finch's situation in his class and following their tenure as students, Malley tries to convince Hayes that he should do something meaningful with his life. To determined students at a West Coast university, Arian and Ernest follow the inspiration of their idealistic professor, Dr. Malley, and attempt to do something important with their lives. But when the two make the bold decision to join the battle in Afghanistan, Malley is both moved and distraught. Now, as Arian and Ernest fight for survival in the field, they become the string that binds together two disparate stories on opposite sides of America. In California, an anguished Dr. Malley attempts to reach a privileged but disaffected student who is the very opposite of Arian and Ernest. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the charismatic presidential hopeful, Senator Jasper Irving, is about to give a bombshell story to a probing TV journalist that may affect Arian and Ernest's fates. As arguments, memories, and bullets fly, the three stories are woven ever more tightly together, revealing how each of these Americans has a profound impact on each other and the world. The media and the reviews here had already informed me that this is the liberal media, having yet another dig at the Bush administration and the policies in Iraq, etc. Knowing that, and sharing those views roughly, I decided to watch it, but did hope that it would not be too clumsy as a fictional attack on a subject that is already covered everywhere you look. What I got, though, was not that, but something much more interesting and something much more unexpected. What I got was a film that more or less pushed the political points to one side, and challenged those on the bench of politics to get involved, rather than just sitting there moaning. It took me by surprise, but essentially this is the reason for the entire film: not to bash Bush, not to condemn Iraq, not to push Democrat policies, but just to challenge the viewer. In this regard, it works really well, and it is hard to argue with the points about taking part in society rather than just focusing on oneself, and I particularly liked the way that it did not condemn those who do that with a weapon, with politics, with reporting, to help others be involved, etc. I can understand why it has gotten this liberal tag, because of who made it and because it is intelligent, but it doesn't deserve this because it generally does keep the neutrality reasonably well. Of course, though, there is a slant to the left on what it is saying, but not to the extent where it does feel like you are being preached at. This is not a Michael Moore film here. Nor is it a perfect film, though. Those looking to be told a story and nothing more will find themselves disappointed because, although there is a narrative flow to it, this is not really what it is about. Instead, it relies heavily on engaging the viewer's brain and making the audience think that way. How the film ends is not all that important, because you carrying on mulling over things for yourself as you leave the cinema. For me this happened, but for others I can understand why the film would have come across boring, pointless, and open-ended. I don't agree with you, but I can see how it happened. The cast are all very good though, because everyone understands the need to sell their characters. Cruise plays very well as the politician, and the film treats him with respect as a character. He plays well with Streep, who is equally good, and uses her performance to let the media have a kick that it does deserve. Redford and Garfield provide the meat of the piece, and their simple discussion comes over natural and effective in presenting the challenge to the viewer. P and Luke have simpler characters, but are engaging as students and soldiers. It is very much an ensemble piece, and everyone does work well in their various twosomes. The support cast may have Berg, Dunn, and other familiar faces, but really it is about the three pairs, all of whom work well. Lions for Lambs has been lumped in with anti-Bush in anti-Iraq films and will have been dismissed by many as just about piece of left-wing propaganda, and this is a shame, because this is far from the truth. It is not a perfect film in some regards, but it is not preaching, but rather challenging all viewers, no matter what you think, to get involved, to take part, to question things, to think for oneself. It is thought-provoking and challenging, and for that it is well worth seeing for yourself. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, Lions for Lambs serves as a poignant reminder that each of us has the power to make a difference, to be either lions who roar for change or lambs who passively accept the status quo.